do want to talk about the other aspect of this as well. The first aspect of this pressure campaign obviously is coming from all these far left environmental groups and other far left groups. The other side of this is coming from, let's say, some Khalistan curious organizations. Maybe we can put it that way, if not blatantly, openly Khalistani organizations. So one of them is in the documents. If you look at the documents, one of the hashtags being mentioned very frequently in those documents is hashtag Ask India Why. And when you go to the website, it's like this Ask India Why website, which is basically saying that India is attempting to do a genocide of the farmers. And then when you follow the breadcrumbs a little bit more, it takes you to people like this fellow, Mo Dhaliwal. He's a guy that runs, so Ask India Why is run by Poetic Justice Foundation. Mo Dhaliwal is the fellow that runs the Poetic Justice Foundation. And if you look at the stuff that he's saying, he's pretty open about what he believes and what he wants to happen in India. He says, I'm a Khalistani. Khalistani is a living, breathing movement. I want Khalistan to happen. And if you look at the stuff that Poetic Justice Foundation is sharing as well, their tweets are restricted at the moment, but these are the kind of things that they're sharing. They create more content relating 2021 to 1947 and 1984.
Tweet restrict क्यों हुए तेरे को पता है ना?
क्यों?
क्योंकि सब निकालेंगे ना अभी खजाना.
Exactly. And the other one is, look at this. Do not apologize for the Nishan Sahib at the Lal Killa. Apologize for the Nishan Sahib at the Lal Killa dismisses what has been at the core of the farmers' protest since day one, the Sikh spirit. So now that mask, this is a pan-Indian farmers' protest, even that mask is completely off. This is not, according to some of the people that are at the forefront of this pressure campaign, this is not about pan-India farmers' protest at all. What is this about? It is about Sikh supremacy and the Sikh spirit. So let
us take it one by one. So first of all, that whole thing about Adani and Ambani. Look, we're known to be a society that hates wealth creation since we have socialism written in our preamble. So why are we even surprised? It's a history of our society. We cannot handle wealth creators. We've always been anti-wealth creation. I say it openly. I celebrate every wealth creator in this country. No society can grow until and unless it learns to celebrate its wealth creators. It does not matter if it's a Premji. It does not matter if it's a Narayan Murthy. It does not matter if it's a Adani or a Ambani or a Tata or a Birla. I don't care. We need more billionaires in India. We need more billionaires. They will make more money. They will create more jobs. What is my evidence? History is my evidence. The only time on this planet where more and more people are getting out of poverty is because of that one word, capitalism. So to all the morons who think socialism works, well, you know what? It never has worked. It never will work. All it can give you is poverty in equal measure. So that is out of the window. Now, as far as this Khalistani thing is concerned, look, I will not say this farmers' protest is a Khalistani protest because there are
no. Let's be very clear. Sorry to cut across you there, Kushal, but that's not the point that I was making at all. At no point have either me, Kushal, or Abhijit maintained or said that the farmers' protest is a Khalistani protest. The point that I was making when I was showing you these organizations and who is behind these organizations is I'm talking specifically about this social media pressure campaign. Behind this social media pressure campaign, there are organizations involved that are run with people who are either Khalistan curious or completely openly Khalistani. That part is a fact. That does not relate to the Indian farmers.
I honestly feel, to be fair to the farmers on this side of the aisle, what can you do? See, every time there is a protest in India, so I can even talk to you about India against corruption. At that time also, there were some people who were trying to hijack it. So you can't control that. The hijacking is going to happen, whether we like it or not. And we also have to realize that it's not that the entire funding of the farm protest was happening from one side. But one myth we have to, clearly demolish is that, look, obviously, yes, farmers in Punjab, upper caste, Jatt Sikhs, I will use the word again, upper caste, Jatt Sikhs, who are rich as hell, are going to lose out if they don't change their ways with the current farm laws. Yes. Guess what? I have zero sympathy for them. Zero. You know why? Because 99% of the farmers pan India who are genuinely lower caste, genuinely poor, and genuinely
And
tortured,
landless.
landless.
Yeah.
Or why aren't people willing to talk about this? When the land allocation was done in Punjab, who got the lands? There was a land grab in Punjab.
Yeah.
बोलो मैं झूठ बोल रहा हूँ साला मैं पंजाब से हूँ मेरे
And
को नहीं
mind
मालूम.
you, it was land that was taken away from Dalits.
Yes.
Yes,
It was a full-on Jatt capture of Dalit land.
yes, yes. And you know what? If you look at the land holding pan India, guess which state that has the least amount of Dalit land holding? Punjab.
Punjab. Who
बात
else?
करो ना. और नहीं जी साडे पंजाब च ते कास्टिज्म होंदी नहीं जी. ਅਸੀਂ ਤੇ बिल्कुल ही कास्ट सर. हमको पूछो हम पंजाबी हैं, हमको मालूम है. ज्यादा बात नहीं करते तो इसका मतलब नहीं है मुंह खोलेंगे तो पता नहीं चलेगा.
Yeah.
These are bullshit things. Just because one caste which is used to having a stranglehold on things will basically blackmail everybody else. Look, by the way, ये लोग रो रहे हैं. APMC Act has not been in Bihar for a while, has not been in Maharashtra for a while, has not been in Madhya Pradesh for a while. I'm just giving you 3 states in just as an example. Now, can we look at the growth rates in percentage terms right from the time of, even before the first Modi government till now in these 3 states and Punjab? We all know Punjab is a dying state.
Yep.
How long are Punjabis going to lie to themselves? Boss, as a Punjabi, I'm worried.
And dekho na, I just shared an article that the water table in Punjab has been devastated completely. कितने टाइम तक ये चलेगा? How sustainable is that?
बात बता, वो पंजाब में कोई चावल उगाना है क्या? Is that a state?
Extrapolate the actual statistics, the economic statistics of where the Khalistani terrorists were drawn from. It's very, very curious, right? What happens is normally in any normal terrorist movement, about 90% will come from the peasantry.
Yeah.
That wasn't the case with the Khalistan movement. Now, the Khalistanis have been trying to latch on to every new movement that arises. They tried to latch on to AAP. It didn't work. They tried to latch on, which shows you how little ground support they have.
Yeah.
They tried to latch on to this farmers' protest. You've had at most, 20,000-30,000 farmers protest.
Yes.
Okay. So it still hasn't worked. And what's happened is now you start extrapolating the numbers. 65% of Khalistani terrorists were the peasantry. The remaining 35%, which is an unusually large amount, came from the landholding wealthy class. Okay. Now, what happens with all of this is that this is the same people, this 35% are the same people that are losing out now in the farm laws, which was the leadership sect of the Khalistani movement. The problem is, and this is where, it's actually quite worrying, that the sort of suicidal farming that Punjab is doing, depleting its water tables, depleting its nutrients, it is already the cancer capital of India.
Yeah.
Abhijit is Menga Shashi Tharoor. I'm going to slap you so bad.
अभिजीत तू महंगा शशि थरूर ऐसे कर. अभिजीत
सस्ता थोड़ी बोला, महंगा बोला है यार, महंगा बोला है, सस्ता थोड़ी बोला है.
But sorry, serious topic. Let's get back.
Go ahead. Sorry.
The thing is, you are right now, what you are doing is, and this was kind of a smart move to do, because you first carry out the reforms with the rich Jats who formed 35% of the Khalistan movement. And they're essentially the sort of absentee landlords and slave owners, because the rest of Punjab is effectively in bonded labor to them pretty much. Right? If you look at the kind of debts that they have in Punjab, there's something called a chakradhari loan, which is keep cycling. You keep taking loans to go on fulfilling the loans.
Yeah.
And you don't even know how much you owe the guy. So you're kept in perpetual bonded labor in that sense, right?
Yeah.
There are huge problems with the loan market also, the agricultural loan market in Punjab, which is why Punjab is always targeted for agricultural loan forgiveness and things like that.
Yeah.
That is how dysfunctional their agriculture actually is. So it was to break the stranglehold of this particular caste and class of people. But then what happens is, in about 10 to 15 years' time, when your water table dries out and the governments of Punjab and Haryana, like idiots, just keep growing eucalyptus trees, which actually trebles the rate of water table depletion, that drying up of the water table is going to start affecting the remaining 65% that formed the crux of the Khalistani caste, of the Khalistan movement. So you're looking at something right now that in the space, and this is why if you postpone these laws, implementation of these laws by 1.5 to 2 years, you're actually shortening your reaction time to a re-emergence of terrorism, which is an extremely dangerous thing. Okay, the longer these people manage to push it back, you will see a sort of place where the 65% and the 35% interests meet again, and that causes another springing up of terrorism all over again.
How do you think that their interests meet up again?
Like I said, the 35% is interested in the land and the land holding and the current agricultural patterns.
Yeah.
So if you get rid of that, you are basically disenfranchising that 35%. Whereas that 65% depends on the water tables, which is going to go in about 15 years.
Yeah.
So you want to space it. First, you deal with the 35%, then you deal with the 65%.
Yeah.
But if you keep postponing this, then, they both kind of end up meeting up at the same point kind of thing, which becomes very, very problematic for you at a policy level. Now, I'm not saying the government understood all of this. I think they just got these laws out of their ass one fine day. And anyway, it's a Congress law. It's not even a BJP law, technically, if you look at it. It was all set in motion by the Congress. So you have some very, very serious thinking to do. But this 35% that got affected, they were the generalship, the admiralty, or whatever you want to call it, of the Khalistan movement. And that is why it resonates with a lot of Khalistanis abroad. Now, remember, even abroad, in the UK and especially in Canada, 90% of the Sikhs are Khalistan neutral or anti-Khalistan. At most, you have about 7 to 10% supporting. The problem is they are the most vocal, they are the most rabid, and they've basically terrorized the rest of the community into submission. And I know this because when I lived in Melbourne, okay, and this was before the final defeat of the LTT in 2009, was it, or whenever?
Yeah.
I couldn't use my surname Iyer anywhere. Because the moment they knew you were Tamil, they would start sending extortionists to your house to get money out of you and things like that. And I didn't even know that till I landed up and decided to start shopping in a Tamil market. And this lady who was basically leaving, and she was so shit scared that she wanted to leave. She had been completely extorted blue by LTT agents in Melbourne. Okay? So it was very, very problematic. I know the way these things work. Thankfully, the LTT got wiped out in 2009 and it wasn't a problem anymore. But it really was problematic. Okay, and this is exactly how these people function. So is there some kind of an international effort going on? Yes, everything meets. It's the same kind of Khalistani leadership trying to take over, trying to show their power internally within India by mobilizing these international stars. Not that all these international stars are paid, because a lot of them need to virtue signal as well.
Exactly, and it raises their profile in a new market.
And I find this argument, I saw this ridiculous argument. Rihanna owns, did I say that name right?
Rihanna Bibi?
No,
Rihanna
this
Bibi.
pop star. Okay,
Yeah, isn't her name Rihanna Bibi?
I don't know. So anyway, so whoever this lady is, she's worth 600 million. Why will she take 3.5 million for a tweet? I don't understand this. That's like saying Mukesh Ambani is worth 22 billion. Why is he signing a deal for 1.5 billion?
Yeah.
I mean, you've got to be fucking thinking out of your ass, man.
Yeah.
And it was some Sikh idiots
And
that
look,
tweeted.
money is not the only thing that's important to celebrities. Like attention is also something that's very important to
Very
celebrity,
important,
equally
because the
important.
more
Yeah,
attention you grab, the greater your chances of scoring the next big deal.
exactly.
That's how you do networking. That is what you do networking for, because you
Yeah,
never know where you're going to get what you get.
yeah.
But I have to say, I'm deeply disappointed that Abhijit keeps focusing on Rihanna and completely ignoring Mia Khalifa.
She's a social worker doing
I didn't
social
know
work.
who this lady was till 2 days back, because unlike you fellows, I am gay. I
Like
don't
you.
watch this whole. I can genuinely say I didn't know who the hell Mia Khalifa was. Okay.
Yeah.
So there's this whole. So first of all, I'm totally innocent in this thing. I can genuinely say I did not know
Genuinely
Mia.
say, I don't know who that is.
Number one, did I say that name right, Mia Khalifa?
Abhi knows Mr. Khalifa.
Yes, I'm afraid I might know Mr. Khalifa. Um,
Nice
uh,
one, Haris.
I've stayed at the
I
Burj
know.
Khalifa,
I know
and
Mr. Burj Khalifa.
very unfortunately designed in the current context. But anyway, yes, I've stayed at the Burj Khalifa,
That's
and
hilarious.
yeah, let's just say I have known several men in Dubai, known as Esther knew the king, as they say biblically, called Mr. Khalifa.
Called Mr. Khalifa. So okay, before we move on to the memes, Kushal, there's one thing that I do wanna mention though, because okay, two things actually. First thing is that yes, within the Indian farmers or within the Indian Sikhs, I mean, even though there is, like we already saw, there's an attempt to sort of hijack this protest or this protest campaign by Khalistani groups that are, fairly desperate for relevance, at least in the Indian context. But at the same time, there's two things. The first thing is that there's been an attempt to sort of there's been an attempt by sort of the Sikh imagery to hijack these protests, like make this protest not about the Indian farmers, but make it about sort of Sikhs. That this is
पता नहीं
Indians.
यार, I'm not sure about this because वो कौन थी? Karen Attiya. She had tweeted
Karen
पहले about
Attiya.
farmers. She had to delete that tweet after
And then
जो
say farmers.
फिर से farmers बोलती है. मतलब decide कर लो
Yeah.
यार.
Decide कर लो क्या है.
हाँ. See, इनके
The-
अंदर भी इनकी ऑपरेशन ओलंपिक्स चलती रहती है ना, तो ये लोग
Yeah.
डिसाइड नहीं कर पाते हैं. But
The
they,
second thing, sorry, just really quickly, the second thing is obviously कि भाई ये this is not a farmers protest anymore. This is BJP's attack on Sikhs. This is one line of reasoning. The other thing is also, and I think we touched upon it a little bit last week as well, where there's like a certain amount of कि भाई हमसे पंगा मत लो वरना देख लेंगे. There's this देख लेंगे mentality among a certain section of the farmers as well.
that's just
And-
Punjabi form machismo. I've told you, you have to live with some level of form machismo from Punjabis. That's just a cultural disease. But just FYI,
ईस्टर्न यूपी में भी यही प्रॉब्लम है. ईस्टर्न यूपी में भी ये थोड़ा है. कर
North
देंगे
India-
ये कर देंगे.
और वेख ले आएंगे
Yeah.
बस उसी में आधी जिंदगी हो गई है इनकी. बट बाय द वे, जस्ट एज ऑफ नाउ, मैंने रिपब्लिक में कुछ रिपोर्ट देखी थी कि गुरनाम सिंह चदुनी तो अभी तो राकेश टिकैत को अक्यूज कर रहा है कि तूने हमारी प्रोटेस्ट को हाईजैक कर लिया. भाई डिसाइड
Now everybody is hijacking everybody else.
जाटों में और जट्टों में झगड़े हो रहे हैं. और भाई ऐसा है,
This is the end game. Intersectionality end game.
कि जब जट और जाट,
Yeah.
when jats and jats are fighting, all you need to do is just grab a popcorn,
Just sit in the corner and watch.
1, 2, 3, fight.
Yeah.
That's all you do. So, nothing makes sense. See, this is not a pan-India farmers protest. This is a two-caste protest. At best, it is a Jat in Haryana, and there is Jats of Punjab. They are doing it. And we all know why they are doing it, because these two states grow certain crops that benefit from MSP. First of all, MSP तो जाने नहीं वाला है, so I don't know why they are worried about it. Their state governments can always make sure the MSP stays, and You know, they can go on destroying their land, their crops, their lives, whatever, you know, else they want to destroy. Anyways, they have so much drugs pumped into Punjab, but they want to destroy their lives anymore. They are free to do that.
Yeah.
But that's not the issue here. The issue is, in fact, this is the first time I'm actually surprised, and I was talking to a friend about it yesterday. I mean, a Sikh friend, and we were just sitting and chit-chatting over dinner. And I was telling him, यार पहली बार हो रहा है लेफ्ट विंग की मैसेजिंग क्लियर नहीं है. एक तरफ बोलते हैं ये सिख प्रोटेस्ट है, एक तरफ बोलते हैं ये पैन इंडिया फार्मर प्रोटेस्ट है. But they know the farmers across the country do not want these laws to go. They actually want this law to stay. How do I know? I actually travel a bit in rural India, so I actually can speak with a little bit of confidence about Maharashtra at least. So they're not against these laws. Maharashtra में तो वैसे ही APMC नहीं है, so who cares?